Let's be honest here. You're tired of exchanging time for money, right? Waking up early, putting up with a boring boss, traffic bills, and still feeling like there is never anything left at the end of the month. And the worst part? You know that if you stop working tomorrow, the money will simply stop coming in. That's not freedom. That's a prison disguised as a routine. Now, imagine the opposite of that. Imagine every single month $5,000 dripped into your account without you lifting a finger, without getting out of bed, without having to sell anything at all, just because you had the intelligence to invest in the right place. No, that's not a fairy tale. That's the power of dividends well used. It's like setting up a money machine that works for you 24 hours a day, rain or shine. Even when the stock market is plummeting, dividends continue to fall. And do you know what's most brutal about this story? Most people will never get there, not because it's impossible, but because no one taught you how it works. Because the system wants you to depend on it. It wants you to die working, but you're not the majority, right? If you're here, it's because you want more. You want freedom. You want to live off income, not effort. And this is the first step. Understand that living off dividends is real, and it can be your destiny if you play it right. But now comes the question that separates the dreamers from the doers. How much money do I really need for this? Want to master the secret to high dividends and transform your income? Sign up now and stay up to date on the best strategies that traditional media misses. The formula that rich people use and nobody taught you. Are you ready? Because now I'm going to show you what they don't want you to find out. There is a simple formula, almost idiotic in its obviousness, that separates those who dream of living off dividends from those who really can. And the most absurd thing, you can do it with a $10 calculator. The formula is this. How much do you want per month x 12 after dividing by the yield of the investment? Want a real example? You want to win $5,000 per month. Multiply by 12. That's $60,000 a year. Now comes the trick. You need to know what is the average return on your investments. And here comes the game. If you invest in a business that pays 0.37% per year, like a Colgate in life, you will need 2.53 invested to take out that $5,000 every month. Wait, 2.5 million? Yes. And that's what the traditional market offers. This is the game for people born with a silver spoon in their mouth. But if you don't have that kind of money, don't worry. Most people don't either. And here comes the trick. The secret is not to give up. The secret is to change the strategy. If you use this calculation with assets that pay more and are still safe, you can cut that value in half, or even by 80%. You're starting to understand now, why do rich people love dividends? Because while you work, their money works. Faster, this formula is your key. Learn. Memorize, use, because from here on the game changes. Want to know why most people will never even come close? Want to see how they're playing the game completely wrong? Tired of empty promises? Here, you'll learn the real path to making money with investments that actually pay off. Sign up now. The big reality check. Most people are broke and don't even know it now. Hold this. Remember I said that to earn $5,000 per month with dividends of 2.37% per year, you need 2.53 million? Well, most people in the United States don't even have $12,500 in savings. You're welcome to invest $2.5 million. And here comes the slap in the face. Nearly half of American families have absolutely nothing saved for retirement. Zero. Nothing. And even those who save are far from winning the game. Do you know how much the average retirement savings between ages 65 and 74? About $200,000, i.e., less than 10% of what would be needed to live off dividends in a peaceful way. With conventional shares. That's right. You spend your whole life working hard, saving, believing in the traditional plan. And in the end, you discover that the plan was never meant to work. Because, do you know who created this plan? Who was born rich? They tell you to buy good and safe stocks that pay 2% per year, while their wealth is multiplying with assets that pay 8%, 10%, 14%. The truth is that the system doesn't care about you. They want you invest wrong, retire broke, and depend on the government. That's their plan. But let me ask you, you will continue to follow a path that is proven to doesn't work for 90% of the population? Or will you open your eyes and start investing like the real market players? If you really want to turn this game around, the next step is understand where the right assets are, the ones that pay the most and make the difference. Don't waste time. Sign up today and start building a passive income that can change your life. Do you want to live off dividends? Then stop thinking like the crowd that will never get there. This is where many give up, where the weak throw in the towel. They look at these numbers, 2 million, 3 million, and say, "This is not for me. I'll never make it. Only the rich can live off dividends." And you know what? They're right for themselves, because those who think small reap small. But you're not here to think like most people, right? You are here because want real freedom. You want to live off your income. You want to stop exchanging your life for a salary. And let me tell you a secret, you can. You just need to play smart and have a long-term vision. If you're 20, 30, 40, you still have time on your side. And if you have some money left over every month, even if it's just a little, you have startup capital. Now combine that with the right knowledge, the right assets, and the right mindset, and you have a time bomb of wealth, but a good one. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it is possible for those who don't give up at the first obstacle. You know who won't get there? Those who only consume content and do not put anything into practice. Those who are afraid to invest and prefer to leave their money rotting in the bank. Who spends their life waiting for the perfect moment that never arrives. Now, if you are different, if you have vision, courage, and consistency, you can create a dividend machine that pays you every month and frees you from that tiring life of depending on a salary. And the best part, you don't even need millions for this. Want to see how to reduce by half or even by a fifth the amount you need to invest to live off dividends? Next time, I'll show you the #1 mistake people make. Invest only in the assets that the big banks and the media push. If you want to break out of your routine, increase your earnings, and live off dividends, this channel is for you. Click subscribe and start your journey. The mistake that keeps you poor, investing only in what the media tells you. If you turn on CNBC, Bloomberg, or any mainstream financial channel, they'll always tell you the same thing. Invest in solid companies like Coca-Cola, Colgate, Procter and Gamble. Sounds good, right? These are reliable companies, well-known brands and respected names. But let me tell you the part where they hide from you. These companies pay ridiculous dividends, 1%, 2%, at most 3% per year. Do you know what that means? That if you follow this expert advice, you will need millions of dollars just to earn a few bucks a month. You work, save, invest for decades, and in the end, if you followed that plan to the letter, you'll end up with $400 a month in dividends and deep regret. And why is it like this? Why these papers are good for those who are already rich, for those who already have millions and just need to preserve their assets and get a stable, risk-free income. Now let me ask you, are you already a millionaire? Do you have 2.5 hours? Million to let sit and earn 2%? If the answer is no, and I know it is, then you need to play another game. You need to go where the rich don't tell you to go. You need to find out the assets that they use them themselves, but they never appear on magazine covers or in TV reviews. Want to see what these real investments are? Next time, I'll show you where are the assets that pay much more and are ignored by most. What no one shows you. Where are the dividends that are really worth it? Let's get straight to the point. You want to live off dividends, but there are no millions left. So you need to stop looking at what's in the window and start exploring what's there, behind the scenes of the market, where the big players operate off the radar of traditional media. Yes, there are investments highly profitable, who pay 5%, 8%, 10%, up to 14% per year, and the best part, with monthly or quarterly payments directly into your account. And why these assets do not appear in the headlines? Simple. Because they do not serve the system. They empower you. They give you freedom. And that's the last thing banks and brokerages want. They want you to buy safe stocks with low dividends, and that it takes you 30 years to perhaps live off the income. So you continues working, investing little, paying fees, depending on them. But here's the secret. There are entire categories of investments that pay more and are still reliable. They are called REITs, real estate investment funds, BDCs, business, development companies, ETFs, covered calls, funds that use options to generate extra income. These are the hidden champions, the ones that actually put money in your pocket month after month, even if you don't have millions in assets. And in the next one, I'll show you the first on this list, which can completely change your view of what is possible. REITs, how to earn monthly income from real estate without owning any. It's time to show you the first one legitimate shortcut so you can earn real dividends, even if you don't have millions in the bank. Let's talk about the REITs, you real estate investment funds, to United States. If you haven't heard, REITs are companies that make money with real estate, such as shopping malls, hospitals, commercial buildings, logistics warehouses, residential buildings, etc. But instead of having to buy an entire building, you buy a slice from this fund, and that's it. Become a partner in the rental. You know the best part? By law, REITs are required to pass on at least 90% of the profit to investors. And since they receive constant rents, you also receive month after month. Want a real example? The REIT Realty Income, code O, one of the most popular and respected on the market, pays monthly dividends and today has an income of about 5.3% per year. Now look at the magic of mathematics. If you apply this rate to the formula I showed you before, the game changes completely. To win 5,000 month, you need about 1.06 million. To win 2,000 month, needs 426,000. Is that still a lot of money? Yes. But look at the difference. You just cut the value in half compared to traditional stocks. This already sets the objective much closer to the reality of those who are building wealth. What's more, many REITs have history of dividend increases, i.e. your income can grow over time without you having to invest anything else. Now, this is just the beginning. In the next topic, I will introduce you to an even more important category, more powerful than REITs, one that pays even more, with dividends that really make a difference, even for those with little capital. BDCs, the dividend machine that funds businesses and makes you rich. Did you find REITs interesting? Wait until you see the BDCs. If REITs are a gold mine, BDCs area money printer, running on turbo. BDC means Business Development Company. These are companies that lend money and make investments in small and medium-sized enterprises of the United States. That is, you become the bank. And what are the rules of the game here? Like REITs, BDCs are also required by law to pass on at least 90% of profits to investors. But there is one detail. Since they take on a little more risk, their turn for you is much greater. Want a big name? Ares Capital, code ARCC, one of the largest and most solid BDCs in the country. Do you know how much she's paying now? 8.52% per year in dividends. Repeat after me, 8.52%. Now remember the formula? Let's apply this yield. To win $5,000 per month, you only need about $704,000. For 3,000 month, $420,000, and for 2,000 month, only $281,000. Do you see the impact of this? You left 2.5 million traditional shares to $281,000 with BDCs. Same income level, 89% less capital required. And here comes the icing on the cake. Many of these BDCs have a history of stable payments, growth, and even share appreciation. Do you know what that means? While you receive your dividends dripping into your account, your assets can still grow over time, double gain. And the best part? These companies are not hidden. They are available on the stock exchange, accessible to anyone with a brokerage, but ignored by 95% of investors, because no one ever told you. Now that you know, the question is, are you going to keep putting your money where the rich tell you to? Or are you going to start investing where are the rich really putting theirs in? And hold on tight, because the next step is even more aggressive. I'll show you how it's possible living off dividends with less than $200,000 invested. Covered call funds, the ninja strategy for dividends, above 14%. If you thought you'd seen it all, get ready for the next revelation, the funds of covered calls. Imagine a fund that buys shares in giant companies, the ones everyone knows, and at the same time sells options on those shares to make extra money. It's like renting the right to buy your shares to another investor and receiving a generous rent for it. The result? Dividends that often exceed 14% per year. This isn't magic. It's cutting-edge financial strategy used by experienced traders to maximize profits. Let's talk numbers. With a yield of 14.65%, you need only about $410,000 to win $5,000 per month in dividends. Want to live off less than $500,000? With this strategy, it's possible. Now, safe? No investment is 100% safe, but covered call funds tend to have lower volatility than pure stocks because the options income helps cushion sharp declines. But of course, there's no place for amateurs here. You need to be willing to study, understand the risks, and monitor your investment. It's the kind of strategy that can put you on the fast track to financial independence if you act smart. How safe is it? The limits of dividend yield and the dangers of dividend traps. You've already felt the power of high dividends. But here's a truth no one likes to hear. Not all that glitters is gold. When the yield starts to exceed the 14%, the risk skyrockets. And it's not a small one. Why? Because very high dividends can mean the company is facing problems and that the payments won't last forever. Some companies promise absurd returns, but when the crisis hits, they cut dividends, plummeting the share price and leaving you at a loss. Example, there are funds that pay 20%, 30%, even 40%, but do you think that's sustainable? The answer is almost always no. Investments such as fundos de collateralized loan obligations, CLLO, and synthetic covered call, funds can offer higher yields, but they usually present inconsistent dividends, which come and go, and even loss of asset value. There's no magic here. The higher the return, the higher the risk. And the smart investor's trick is to know where to draw the line. Seek the best balance between income and security. If you want to build a solid dividend income, you need to understand this fine line and build a diversified portfolio with investments that pay well but are also reliable and growing. Diversification, the secret of investors who don't want to go broke. You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. It's a cliché, but it's the absolute truth in the world of investing. When we talk about living off dividends, this is even more important. Yes, covered call funds with a 14% yield are incredible, but if everything is concentrated in them, a problem with this strategy can wipe out your returns in an instant. Therefore, investors who want to make real money spread their money across several strategies. Traditional stocks of large companies, even if the yield is low, they are stable. REITs to capture income from real estate, BDCs to earn high dividends by financing smaller companies, covered call funds to boost returns, and even other asset classes that are paying high dividends but have controlled risk. This mix makes income more stable and the risk of bankruptcy almost zero. Additionally, by diversifying, you can ride the growth of multiple sectors of the economy, increasing your chances of seeing your income rise over time. Now, you want to know the craziest part? Diversification is not just for those who have millions, but for those who really want it. Earn money and sleep peacefully. The reality and opportunity. You can live off dividends, but you have to act now. We've come to the stark truth. Living off dividends is a possible dream, but it doesn't fall from the sky. For many, it seems impossible because they don't have millions saved. They don't know the right strategies. They think that high income is only for the rich, but the truth is that there are ways to build a consistent passive income, and some investments are out there, waiting for those with courage and discipline. You saw that with traditional stocks alone, you need millions to get $5,000 a month, but with the right investments, you can start with less than $200,000 and grow from there. But the key is simple. Don't wait any longer. Every day you postpone your first investment means money is no longer earning for you, and the sooner you start, the faster you'll get there. You can keep waiting or decide now that you want to change your financial game. The decision is yours. Need help getting started? Let me show you the way. The royal path to living off dividends. Get in the loop or stay out. You already know the truth that many people pretend not to see. Living off dividends. It's not for anyone who wants it, it's for those who act. Want $5,000 a month in dividends? With traditional stocks, the math is simple and hefty, over $2.5 million. That's scary, and for good reason. The average American family is far from that. So it's natural to feel like the dream is out of reach. But here's the catch. There are investments that pay much more than the traditional 2 or 3%, REITs, BDCs, covered call funds. These are tools that smart investors use to generate high passive income without having to be millionaires. Of course, these investments carry more risk, and no one is talking about easy or guaranteed money. It's important to study, diversify, and understand the game. It takes discipline and a bit of courage to escape the safety of the same old thing and seek out alternatives that work. If you let fear and procrastination rule, you'll be left watching from afar as others achieve financial freedom. If you take action, even with little, you can start building an income that grows over time, one step at a time. The question remains, will you continue waiting for the right time that may never come? Or will you join the circle, learn, invest, and build your path to a financially free life? The market is there, full of opportunities, and the biggest risk, in fact, is doing nothing. Time to decide. Will you be a spectator or a protagonist in your own financial life?